Chong-ho's voice is low, raspy, and tired. It's the voice of a man who's been chewed up by the world and spat into a cage. There was no music at first, only the sound of a flickering fluorescent light and the distant, rhythmic thud of a prison guard's baton against iron bars. I was a third-rate lawyer with a 10% win rate. A joke. People called me Big Mouth because my tongue was faster than my brain and a hell of a lot more capable than my hands. I was drowning in debt, living under my father-in-law's roof, watching my wife, Miho, lose her smile a little more every day. Then came the crypto fraud case. It was supposed to be my life raft. Before I left that morning, Miho gave me an ultimatum: win or don't bother coming home. I did what any desperate man would do. I bribed the judge, but the universe has a sick sense of humor. I walked into that courtroom to find a different judge on the bench. I lost, again. Miho didn't just scream, she broke. She wanted a divorce. I was too terrified to face her. I called my father-in-law to sneak my bags out of the house like a thief in the night. That's when the phone rang. The mayor, Choi, wanted to meet in the dark, in the middle of nowhere. He offered me a high-profile murder case at Gucheon Hospital, a professor's body in a trunk, a car crash, and 3 powerful men arrested on the spot: Dr. Han, Attorney Lee, and Chow Young. Their legal team didn't want a fighter. They wanted a puppet, an incompetent, obedient frontman to dance while they pulled the strings. I tried to say no, but Choi tempted me with the missing dashcam footage. He wanted to burn them down from the inside. Driven by a sudden, stupid spark of justice, I took the bait. In prison, those 3 VIPs lived like royalty. Even Warden Park bowed to them. They loved my resume. To them, I was the perfect loser. But I had my own plan. I bugged their room with a coffee cup and listened. I learned the dashcam video was with Dr. Han's wife, and there was a shadow behind them, a 4th accomplice. I found Han's wife just as she was being attacked. I cornered her with the recording, and she broke, handing me the memory card and a name: Ji-hoon, the president of a major newspaper. I watched the footage. It was brutal. They killed Professor Seo over an unpublished paper. What was in those pages? Who was Ji-hoon? Before I could find out, debt collectors tore my office apart. Desperate, I tried to blackmail Ji-hoon for $3 billion. He just laughed in my face. He told me I might not be the one left standing. That night, I treated my family to one last lavish dinner. Then, a call from the prosecutor. A kind waitress gave me a coffee on the way out. It was drugged. My vision blurred, the world spun, and I crashed. In the darkness of a coma, I saw Miho's face. I woke up to her voice telling me she wanted a divorce, and to the news that the memory card was gone. The police were waiting at my hospital bed. My blood was full of drugs. My office was full of gold, cash, and narcotics I'd never seen before. I was being framed as Big Mouse, the world's most notorious con man. Miho told me to stay alert, to never give up. Her voice was the only thing keeping me sane. I reached out to Mayor Choi, but he turned his back on me. I was sent to the Wolves, a prison full of the most dangerous men alive. The VIPs wanted me dead for betraying them, but Ji-hoon intervened. He wanted the 290 billion Big Mouse had stolen. He needed me alive to find his money. I survived, but I was hollow. Then I saw Miho on the prison TV. She was fighting for me, even when the guards blocked her. I cried like a child. Everyone in that hellhole believed I was Big Mouse. My cellmate, Jerry, was my biggest fan. Even the notorious gang leader, Jang, couldn't break me. Warden Park tried to play both sides, feeding me fancy meals one minute and throwing me into solitary the next. I missed my wife so much it felt like a physical wound. Miho, being the woman she is, didn't just sit at home. She got a job at Gucheon Hospital to find that missing paper.
She found a floor of dying patients who weren't allowed to be saved, a do not resuscitate order for everyone. Something was very wrong. When I heard she was in danger, I tried to push her away. I sent her divorce papers to protect her. She tore them up. She came to the prison and told me if I died, she'd follow me. The prison became a battlefield. An assassin tried to kill me in the yard. Warden Park tried to extort me for protection money. I snapped. I stopped being Chong Ho the loser. I looked Park in the eye and told him I was Big Mouse. I started a riot. I made them eat filth until they gave us real food. I realized the ego is just a mask. If the world wanted Big Mouse, I'd give it to them. I started taking requests. I promised to help the prisoners, but the VIPs were losing patience. They bribed Park to look away while they sent a hit squad. My own team, the serial killer I'd provoked, was a mole. He pulled a knife on me, but my room leader took the hit. Meanwhile, Miho was being hunted. Mayor Choi's secretary was following her. She realized the paper was hidden in a cross necklace. The hospital director had one, but it was empty. The real one belonged to Miss Jang, a token of love from the murdered Professor Seo. I decided to smoke out the real Big Mouse. I installed a camera and a statue of the Virgin Mary. I saw Jerry, but when I confronted him, he looked me in the eye with such innocence I couldn't be sure. Then the real Big Mouse sent a warning to Miho, 33 chrysanthemums. Jerry tried to poison me on Ji-hoon's orders, then saved me out of guilt. I was kidnapped from the hospital and taken to a psychiatric ward. They pumped me full of truth serum, trying to find the money. I saw rats everywhere. I was losing my mind. Ji-hoon was a shark. He wanted his gold, but Big Mouse was always one step ahead, planting a single gold bar to lead him on a wild goose chase. Jerry died saving me from that asylum, or so I thought. I escaped, guided by a police officer who was clearly on the payroll of the man I was supposed to be. I met Miho in secret. We decided to burn it all down. I started a live stream. From a hidden location, I predicted every move of the corrupt trial. I exposed the VIP's DNA lies in real time. I watched as the public turned on them. I walked right up to the courthouse steps and let the police take me, just so I could see the look on their faces. I heard Jerry was alive, but when I sent him a letter of thanks, he tore it up. The game wasn't over. Back in prison, a ghostly disease was rotting the inmates from the inside. Ji-hoon came to me, desperate. He wasn't the killer, but he knew who was. The 3 VIPs were just pawns for Chairman Kong, a man with more power than God. And Mayor Choi, the man who set me on this path, he walked into the chairman's office and handed over the secret paper. He had been playing us all along. I looked at the bars of my cell and smiled. They thought they had trapped a lawyer. They thought they had framed a con man. They didn't realize in this city of masks, I was finally wearing the one that fit. My name is Chong Ho, but you can call me Big Mouse.
Before we dived back into the belly of the beast, I want to know who's standing in the trenches with me. Pause the video right now and comment down below with the city or country you're watching from. If you're ready to see the corrupt burn, hit that like button. Share this story with someone who loves a good twist, and subscribe. Don't let the shadows win. Stay connected. Now, back to the nightmare. The air in Gucheon prison changed. It tasted like copper and old secrets. Mayor Choi had the paper, the chairman had the power, and I was still sitting in a cell, but the hierarchy had shifted. I wasn't the prey anymore. I was the ghost in the machine. The ghostly disease wasn't a ghost at all. It was a symptom. Inmates were coughing up blood, their skin turning gray, their minds slipping away. I watched a man collapse during lunch, his eyes rolling back as he shrieked about the water. It didn't take a genius to realize the hospital and the prison were 2 sides of the same coin, a giant laboratory for Chairman Kong's twisted ambitions. Miho felt it too. At the hospital, she saw the "do not resuscitate" orders weren't about mercy, they were about disposal. They were testing something on the poor, the forgotten, and the incarcerated. When she tried to dig deeper, the shadows grew longer. She realized that Professor So hadn't just died for a paper. He died because he was the only one with a conscience left in a city of monsters. I sent a message through the tarot cards. I needed a meeting. The real Big Mouse was tired of playing riddles. That night, the power in the prison cut out. In the pitch black, a figure appeared at my solitary door. It wasn't Jerry. It wasn't the warden. It was Room Leader No, the man who had taken a knife from me. He looked at me, not as a cellmate, but as a general looks at a soldier. He admitted it. He was Big Mouse. He had built an empire of information and stolen billions to fund a war against the chairman, the man who had destroyed his family years ago. But a king needs a successor. No was dying of the very disease the chairman had unleashed. He told me I was his masterpiece. I had the face of a victim and the heart of a lion. He wanted me to take the crown. Before I could answer, an explosion rocked the wing. Mayor Choi wasn't content with just having the paper. He wanted the evidence buried. No didn't make it out, but as he died, he handed me a key, not to a door, but to a server. The 290 billion wasn't just money, it was ammunition. I walked out of that fire and back into the general population. The prisoners didn't see Chang Ho, the lawyer. They didn't even see the fake Big Mouse. They saw the man who survived the inferno. I officially took the throne. My first act, I bought the prison, not with money, but with the one thing these men lacked, hope. I organized them. We weren't inmates, we were an army. Outside, Miho was losing ground. Mayor Choi was running for governor, using his heroic image to mask the blood on his hands. He thought he had won. He thought the paper was safe. He didn't realize that Miho had photographed every page before he ever touched it. The final showdown wasn't in a courtroom. It was on the world stage. I used the Big Mouse network to hijack the mayor's victory gala. As he stood on that podium, smiling for the cameras, every screen in the city flickered to life. It was me, sitting in the warden's office, wearing a suit that cost more than my old life. I didn't just expose the murder, I exposed the lab. I showed the world the dying inmates, the poisoned water, and the chairman's signatures. The Big Mouth finally had something worth saying. Mayor Choi tried to flee, but there's no escaping a city that's finally woken up. In a final desperate act, he tried to silence Miho. He cornered her at the docks, the same place they used to dispose of the test subjects. I got there just as the sun was rising. I didn't use a gun. I didn't use a knife. I used the truth. I told him that the disease he helped create had already found a new host, him. He'd been drinking the same fortified water he'd been giving the prisoners. As the sirens closed in, I stood with Miho. We were tired, we were scarred, but we were standing. The third-rate lawyer was gone. The fake con man was dead. I am Chang Ho, and I finally realized that to protect the person you love, you don't just become a top dog. You become the one who owns the cage. The screen fades to black, leaving only the sound of a ticking clock.